The Madlanga Commission of Inquiry at the Brigitte Mabandla Justice College in Pretoria will today shift its focus to alleged hit squads operating in KwaZulu-Natal, consisting of members of the South African Police Service who allegedly commit extrajudicial killings. IPID KZN Deputy Director for Investigations, Len John, is set to testify about these hit squads allegedly targeting suspects in cash and transit robberies, taxi operators and drug syndicates under the guise of a task team. SABC News anchor Ayanda, Nyathi and senior reporter Canny Maphanga are in Pretoria and join us live with the very latest. A very good morning to you, colleague. So there's a shift in focus today, specifically in KwaZulu-Natal right now, but more importantly, dealing with what is called now alleged hit squads that seemingly have South African Police Service members part of these hit squads, where they target, among others, the cash and transits, where in some instances there would be a specific home where they knock in saying that there could be members of drug syndicates that are living in that home, and then everybody is killed. Just talk us through exactly what we expect to hear over the course of the week.
Yeah, you're right, Mfundo. We've been hearing from the IDEX stream for quite some time, but now we're moving into terrain which is arguably at the heart of the terms of reference of this inquiry. It speaks to whether or not there had been an infiltration, if you like, in the operations of the police, and whether or not those who are dressed in, the men and women in blue are in fact part of the criminal ecosystem in places like KwaZulu-Natal. Let's bring in Canny Maphanga, who, as you've mentioned, is our senior reporter who's been with us watching the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. And Canny, as we wait for the commission to start today, let's place the importance of this particular stream, because the allegations, for example, that police who operate under the guise of legitimate work are actually in cahoots with criminals is not new.
Absolutely. Good morning to you, Ayanda, and to the viewers at home. Even though the context here is focused on the political killings task team and everything that is born out of this commission emanates out of that disbandment decision, although we've seen the PKTC face their own allegations of alleged human rights violations or those extrajudicial killings, we know that in the KZN province specifically, it's a historical problem, if we can look at it that way, that can be extended to numerous different units or task teams that you've seen play a role in policing in the KwaZulu-Natal province. So because we know now that the witness is someone from IPID, which is a police watchdog that would have to face some of these complaints against various different officers, it could be a limited scope of the task team, or we could be looking at the overall issue of allegations of extrajudicial killings in the KZN province. So it's about looking at this theme against the backdrop of, you have on one side police officers, men and women in blue, who are afforded a number of powers and how they can easily be abused under the guise of legitimate operations. And that's often the case in which you see extrajudicial killings takes place. It starts off as a legitimate operation. However, when the scene is operated or conducted, that is when you start to see these violations or alleged abuse of powers taking place. So we expect to hear about that particular evidence when the hearings resume at 9:30 a.m.
It's interesting to hear from the commission that we're also likely to hear stuff about cash and transit robbers and the suspects being killed at the scene. And I suppose that might conjure up the memory of several headlines in KwaZulu-Natal where we've heard that there's been an exchange with suspects and a number of them have died.
The justification has always been that the suspects have opened fire, and that is what warrants the conduct that you see. But we know that policing is never that simple, and it seems that in these instances it's always the most allegedly extreme option that is chosen in that regard. And in terms of the data, you always see that when you look at suspect fatalities, the province that seems to rise quite prominently is the KwaZulu-Natal province. So it's about exploring that theme. Is it an abuse of power? Is it a lack of understanding of responsibilities when conducting hard policing, if we put it that way? We'll find out when IPID gives us a picture of what the KZN province looks like in that regard.
Canny Maphanga, thanks very much indeed, our senior reporter here at the Brigitte Mabandla Justice College, as we see the commissioners walk in.